Welcome to Castle Academy, Episode 4. In the last lesson, we started building our own golf game and learned about collisions, physics, and controls. In this lesson, we'll incorporate logic and variables into our game to create win and lose states. Right now, if we fall out of bounds, the game doesn't do anything. We should let our user know that they lost and give them an option to try again. To do this, go into the golf balls blueprint and click on the Logic tab. We want to create a new rule. Essentially, a rule is a unit of logic that says what the ball should do when a specific trigger occurs. In our case, we want our rule to trigger when the ball falls out of the frame, or viewport in Castle terms. So let's select when this falls out of the viewport for our trigger. Responses determine what should happen as a result of the trigger, so let's add a response for creating a text box where we can write a message. We also want the user to be able to tap this text box to restart the game. So instead of the text box being dismissed when tapped, let's change it to perform response. Now we see a new section in our rule that only acts when this text box is tapped. Click on Select Response and at the response, restart this card. Let's test it out now. Looks great. Now let's create a win message, since nothing happens when the ball goes into the hole yet. So how do we know when the ball is in the hole? Luckily, there's a trigger that tracks when two actors collide, so we can try creating a rule that tracks when the ball collides with the hole container. But first, we need a way for our ball to know which blueprint represents the hole container. We do this by going to the hole container and adding a tag to it, which we can name container. Tags are how we can refer to specific actors in our rules. Now we can go back to the ball and create a new rule. When this collides with the hole container, let's create a message that congratulates the winner and restarts the game when tapped. Now let's test it out. What went wrong? The rule is triggering when the ball collides with any part of the hole container, not just the bottom. And we're getting a ton of messages when we only want one. Let's try something different. We only care if the ball collides with the area at the bottom of the hole container, so let's create a new actor right there. That way, whenever the ball touches it, we know the user won. Let's make a new actor in that area and let's make it look like a black hole. Don't forget to adjust the collision layer to match the shape. Move it behind the grass by clicking the layer button. Just to keep everything organized, let's rename it to hole. Now scroll down and add a tag for it called hole. Now let's go back to the ball's logic and swap our container reference for our new hole. Now that's a lot better. However, we still get a few messages whenever the ball ricochets. To solve this, let's add a response that destroys the ball as soon as it collides with the hole. This will also help make it look like it's actually going into the hole instead of rolling around behind it. Perfect. Now we have win states and lose states. What if we want to personalize our win message so it tells us how many swings we took? Luckily, we can easily do that with variables. A variable is basically a labeled container that stores a number, like a score. So if we want to know how many swings we took, we want to create a variable for keeping track of how many times we've used our slingshot control on the golf ball. Let's go to the deck settings at the top and create a new variable. Let's call it hits and keep its initial value at 0. Now let's go back to the golf ball's logic tab and add a new rule that tracks every time we move the ball. Since the ball uses slingshot for its controls, we want to make the trigger when this is slung. We want our hits variable to increase by 1 every time the ball is swung, so for the response, click on Modify the value of a variable. Click on None to choose the variable. Select Deck, since we made this variable in the deck settings, and then select Hits. Set to value 1 and then check Relative to Current Value. That means it will add 1 to the variable's value instead of setting the value directly to 1. Now that we have this variable that tracks our swings, let's incorporate it into our win message. Go to your rule with the win message and reference your variable by adding a $sign in front of it. This seems to work at first, but if you play it a few times, you'll notice the swings keep accumulating even after we've restarted the game. Why? This is because variables are persistent even if the card restarts. This is useful if you want to use a variable to track how many total attempts you've made. But for our golf game, we want to reset the score whenever our card restarts. So let's find all instances of our logic where we restart the card. Let's add a response that also resets all variables. Now our message always displays the correct number of swings. You may notice that the win message has a small typo whenever you have a hole-in-one, since tries is plural. Let's create logic that tells your game to display different win messages depending on how many hits you have. We will do this with a condition. Essentially, a condition tells your game to do different things depending on if that condition is true or false. In this game, our condition is how many hits we have. If we have more than one hit, we want to display our original message. But if we don't have more than one hit, that means we have a hole-in-one, and we want to show a different message. First, open the rule where we define the win state. Then, tap on the response where we create our text box, and then click Wrap in Condition. Basically, we're moving that text box response inside of an if condition, which we will now define. We want this message to only show up when the hits variable is greater than 1. So click If a variable meets a condition. Click on None, then Duck, then select Hits. Then change the comparison to greater and make the value 1. Now we only see this message if we have more than one hit. Right now, nothing would happen if we only have one hit because we haven't added the else part of the condition yet. Let's tap on Add Else and create a text box with our new message. Don't forget to add the same responses to restart the card, reset variables, and destroy the ball on collision. Great! Not only do we see the correct messages when we win and lose, but we also have a personalized message for our hole-in-ones. Today, we learned that rules let your game react to events, which are triggers, and define what happens when they occur, which are the responses. We also learned tags help you identify and interact with specific actors, like the hole in our game. Finally, we learned variables keep track of information, like how many swings it took to win. In the next lesson, we'll learn how to build obstacles and leaderboards to make your golf game both more challenging and more competitive.